The full text will be updated completely by the end. A captivating story now begins with a game of truth or dare. The gaze of the dream lover of my fiancé fixed on me. I asked if there were no me. Could we go back? She replied with one word, yes. Everyone present was utterly shocked. All at once they looked at me. They all thought I'd be so furious I'd flip the table. But no one expected I wouldn't care. I even grabbed the red thread of fate and said, fine, go ahead. After all, we haven't registered our marriage. I generously let you to be together. A week ago, Terrence returned to the country. My fiancée Victoria personally went to pick him up. My father was diagnosed with coronary artery disease, needing bypass surgery. I lost my composure, yelled over the phone that she couldn't prioritize what mattered. But she turned it around, blaming me for overreacting. Her tone was full of disappointment and reproach unconcealed. After hanging up, she blocked all contact with me. In that moment, I felt like I no longer recognized her. This was the first time Victoria and I fell into a cold war. Before, every time we argued, I was always the first to apologize, afraid of making her angry. But this time when I found out she blocked me, I was strangely calm. Until 3 days later, my mother called, said Victoria had been crying. I knew she was just trying to make me yield. It was always like this. Victoria never took the initiative to apologize, but always had ways to make me break the ice first. At most, she'd order barbecue, arrange a hot pot date. If that didn't work, she'd cry in front of my parents, waiting for me to soften, to lower myself. She'd smugly ask if I knew where I went wrong. At night, she'd act like a lazy, seductive cat, teasing playfully. In the end, I was always the one to surrender. From the moment I started pursuing her, it was always this pattern. I gave everything, but could never demand Victoria reciprocate with reason. Being with her, I got used to shortchanging myself, careful in every way, always catering to her whims, guessing her thoughts, as if without her I couldn't breathe. But yesterday she bluntly said her mother didn't blame her at all, and told me not to use that as an excuse. That sentence made me feel an unprecedented imbalance. Victoria, she didn't understand. That day outside the operating room, how terrified I was. How helpless, though I'm a man, but inhuman to a son to my parents. How I longed for her to be there for me to lean on. But all I got was her blame and indifference. Victoria texted me, darling, do you remember what tomorrow is? The 3rd anniversary of our engagement. How could I forget? Every time I went to great lengths to prepare fine wine, but Victoria always found it not romantic enough, because I only knew to pick expensive wine, gift cosmetics, gift jewelry, gift handbags. My way of giving gifts could never compare to Terrence. A timely social media post with blessings. Seeing I didn't reply, Victoria thought I forgot. She complained, fine then, stay home obediently. It'll make it up to you. I replied with one word, okay. I put away the phone and continued reading the lawyer's letter. If it were before, I'd have been overjoyed, but this time my heart was strangely calm. After work, Victoria reminded me to buy red wine and candles. Wait obediently for her. She texted at 6 in the evening, but by midnight she still wasn't home. In between, worried something happened to her. I called several times, no one answered. Finally, unable to hold back, I opened WeChat, about to ask her best friend when. I saw Terrence's status update. Lifelong soulmate. Visible only to me. Attached was a photo of a watch. The watch I'd long admired. Seeing that photo, I only felt something in my heart shatter, then slowly piece itself back together. In the end, my heart was light as a cloud. In that moment, I suddenly let go. In her heart, Terrence would always be more important than me. But strangely, I no longer cared. At midnight in my dreams, I heard someone open the door, slowly approaching my bedside. A familiar breath washed over me. Victoria hugged me, but as her red lips were about to touch mine, I instinctively turned my head away. That unconscious action stunned both me and her. It also left me completely sleepless. Perhaps to avoid awkwardness, Victoria hurriedly ran to the bathroom, but forgot her phone. A message from Terrence flashed. Have you gotten home? Victoria had arranged to meet Terrence. I couldn't let go. Victoria didn't reply. Scrolling up. They talked every day. I lost interest. But the constant buzzing was truly annoying. I picked up the phone, threw it in a perfect parabola onto the sofa. I used to be insanely jealous over their day and night chats. But whenever I complained too much, Victoria would immediately act distant. She thought I was childish boring, a fiancé who didn't respect her. But as a fiancé, she didn't understand boundaries. Gradually, I no longer wanted to say another word. A few minutes later, Victoria came out after changing. Seeing her phone on the sofa, she froze. "You touched my phone." I yawned. "It's late." Victoria took the red wine from the bedside cabinet. There's nothing between me and him. I nodded, fell into sleep, no longer hearing her disjointed explanations. Finally, in a sigh, the world became quiet. I was no longer frantic, nor did I emphasize principles or boundaries in love, because it was pointless. Victoria still silently erased everything I cherished, even my father-in-law's life or death. In her eyes, it was just a joke. I was too tired of waiting, too tired of paying the price. Expenditure outweighed income. The bowstring was about to snap, so I chose to turn away. The next morning when I woke up, I found Victoria had slept in another room at some point. Seeing me come out, she pointed to the suit beside her. "Miles gave this to you." I picked it up to look. How laughable. The color, the style, not to mention. The size was all wrong. Why give me something meant for Terrence? I put on my shoes, about to open the door to leave. Victoria blocked me. "It's not what you think. He broke up. Got drunk at the bar. I took him to the hotel. He vomited all over himself." I interrupted. "Oh really? So his clothes were dirty. You bought him a suit. To console him, you gave him a watch. Waited for him to sober up, so he had the energy to post and provoke me. Then you came home." "Miles, do you have to speak so harshly?" Her eyes showed a hint of hurt. "So how do you want me to speak?" I looked at Victoria meaningfully. She fell silent, her innocent expression as if all the fault was mine. This time Victoria was truly angry. Living under the same roof, we were like strangers. The only thing connecting us was a cat. The cat we adopted together, named Joy. Back then, when I clumsily confessed, we took care of it together. Her gaze was gentle, the smile on her lips. She nodded to my proposal of love. From then on, I fed it, cleaned its litter. But these past few days, Victoria came home very late. I had to lock Joy in my room. The little guy was sad, lost. At this moment, it often lay in front of Victoria's laptop making a mess. It couldn't speak. But that indescribable grievance I understood. Surprisingly, Terrence texted, "I can return the watch to you." Why be so petty, man? I didn't bother to care. I have a cleanliness obsession. What's mine, if touched by others, feels dirty to me. Terrence sent another long message. That day was when I was at my lowest, mocked by a crowd for my failed marriage. Don't blame Victoria. I stayed silent for a while, then replied with biting words. "Are all your close friends and family dead? Why cling to my fiancé?" Victoria rushed in from the living room. "Are you crazy? How could you talk to Terrence like that? We broke up." The last time Victoria said "we broke up" was because I accidentally broke the crystal glass Terrence gave her. After scolding me, I couldn't help but try to appease her. I replaced it with an identical one, but she hugged me saying, "You know how important he is to me." Then she sent two words, "break up." I anxiously begged over the phone. So upset, I burst into tears. My words incoherent. She was silent for a long time, then suddenly said, "A man crying like that." I stopped immediately, filling in the words she didn't say. In a daze for a few seconds, I said, "Got it." Hung up right away, as if a truckload of cement poured into my heart, then quickly hardened. When it came to Terrence, Victoria was always sensitive, as if it were a forbidden zone not to be touched. But what could I do? Now I no longer cared, only wondering what I was to her. Why force myself to reach a standard I could never attain? So even when Victoria posted online to provoke me, I felt the skies clear and clouds part. She fixed his computer, reserved his parking spot, even bought the same pair of shoes online. She held an umbrella for him, received his deliveries, corrected errors in his documents, even for the company's new project, traveling to major cities for days. She and I went for 5 days without contact. While they texted back and forth every day, I jokingly said, I could feel, no matter how deep my feelings for Victoria were, they were being worn down by her indifference, until someone couldn't take it anymore. Our mutual friend Melody organized a gathering. I, who was never late, arrived half an hour late. Terrence looked at me provocatively. Miles, you're really too much. I glanced at him. Clearly, he was the one late countless times. But whenever I asked more, Victoria would sternly explain for him. Terrence's time zone is off its normal. I sneered, sure. This meal's on me. Split into 2 tables. Very fittingly, Melody and I sat at one table. Victoria and Terrence sat across from each other. I called the waiter, ordered Koju beef hot pot, Terrence's favorite dish. Victoria added no cilantro. I remembered the first time we 3 gathered. Because Victoria really liked cilantro, I deliberately added a lot. She subtly frowned, glanced at me, just told the waiter to change the broth. Terrence smirked triumphantly. Miles, see how considerate Victoria is. Loving someone means remembering everything about them, including their eating habits. Under Terrence's provocative gaze, I clenched my fist tightly. Though Victoria said ignorance is not a crime, I still couldn't suppress the deep hurt I felt. From then on, I never ate Koju hot pot again. Melody beside me burst out laughing. Do all you guys hate cilantro? Victoria looked at me in surprise. I think at that moment she understood why, when eating dual flavor hot pot with her, she could skip cilantro for Terrence, while I ate spicy hot pot for her taste. Victoria wasn't as considerate as she claimed. It's just that the object of her care wasn't me. I'd kept this thought in my heart for a long time. I didn't understand why Terrence's actions always felt like stabbing a knife into my heart. Yet he still acted innocent. Like this time, after eating heartily, Melody told me and Victoria to go home together. But Terrence insisted on playing truth or dare. When the bottle pointed at him, he deliberately asked Victoria to get back at me. If you weren't engaged now, could we get back together? That possessive expression shocked the entire table into silence. Yet the one asked slowly nodded. Melody, afraid I'd lose control, instinctively grabbed my sleeve, but I only gave a faint smile. Fine then. After all, we haven't registered our marriage. I generously let you to be together. The party ended unhappily, not my fault. But because 2 men at the other table stood up, one pointed at Terrence, scolding him for using friendship to do the things lovers do. You two are really in sync, huh? Victoria's face turned pale. Terrence hadn't even explained. When the others stood up too. Don't call me to gatherings like this again. Don't talk to me about so-called soulmates. It's just emotional cheating. I smiled, saying nothing. This scene I'd mentioned countless times. Each time before Terrence could speak, Victoria would jump to his defense. Each time I only felt pain and loneliness. Now I wasn't painless, but the wounds in my heart had scabbed over. This gathering, Melody's kindness was wasted. I went left, took the subway. They went right, drove away. No one looked back at each other. I was the outcast on the sidelines. Yet a sense of relief passed through my heart. That feeling, like a precious item I couldn't bear to discard, was stored away. It once existed, was once beautiful, but would never return. I arrived at the station, slowly headed home. A cold breeze blew, a leaf fell from its branch. A natural, decisive trajectory, a sign of parting. It was time for me to let go of Victoria. I considered how to bring it up, but when I pushed open the door, seeing her sitting silently in the room. Rarely Victoria spoke first. These days I wasn't here. You seemed very happy. Yeah, you were busy, I was busy too. She deliberately provoked, but I didn't want to say much. It was Terrence who flew back. I suddenly felt puzzled, then realized she was explaining. Before, whenever she was with Terrence, I was always anxious, but now I no longer cared. Yet she found it amusing. Of course, soulmates, right? I replied carelessly, wanting to end the conversation, but she still hesitated. This demeanor, if it were before, I'd anxiously ask for clarity, but now I was indifferent. Finally, Victoria mustered courage. "There's something I want to discuss." "Speak." I tried not to seem too impatient. She bit her lip. "Terrence is my best friend. After returning, he applied for jobs. Staying in a hotel forever isn't convenient." I immediately understood she wanted Terrence to move in, thinking of how to refuse. When Terrence knocked carrying a suitcase, my blood pressure shot up. They'd already decided. Why pretend to ask my opinion? I turned to go to my room. As long as my personal space wasn't invaded, I didn't want an ugly breakup. But Victoria pulled me back. "Terrence is allergic to cat fur." I looked up, not understanding what she meant. Victoria hesitated, her tone non-negotiable. "Take Joy out for a few days." The atmosphere froze. I burst out laughing. So there really is such a thing as laughing in anger. Miles, don't misunderstand. Terrence opened his suitcase. "I know these days have troubled you and Victoria. It's my fault. Once I find a job, it'll disappear." His guest-over-his attitude made me want to slap him. "Get out." 3 words stunned both people across from me. Victoria spoke first. "Miles, if already compromised." Seeing my cold expression, she lowered her voice. "Just a few days." I didn't hold back, shattering her delusion. "This is our wedding house. I think I have veto power, right?" Victoria was silent for a long time. Finally, with a cold face, looked at me. "Fine. There's more than one house. Don't be jealous later." She took Terrence's hand and left. I watched their backs fade, trying to recall my jealousy, until the door slammed shut. I remembered the last time was when I caught them singing love songs at KTV, flirting with their eyes. I nearly lost it and fought. After the argument, Victoria ignored me, while Terrence smirked mockingly, making me even angrier. Now they left in a huff. To me, it was liberation. Letting go of past tangled emotions was a confession from the depths of my heart. I sent her a text, "Gather well, part well," with a red exclamation mark. Not sure if I was blocked before or after she returned. About to call, when I got a call from Victoria's father. I braced for a scolding, but he frantically said her mother went for a checkup. A tumor in her uterus showed abnormalities. When I rushed to the hospital, Victoria was crying her eyes out. Seeing me, she threw herself into my arms. I stiffened briefly, but still held her shoulders. "It's okay. I'm here, don't be afraid." I used my law firm connections to find the best doctor for a consultation and immediately proceeded with surgery. The operation was more successful than expected, but during it, Terrence was truly disruptive, texting multiple times, complaining about job hunting troubles, or inviting Victoria to eat. When he learned her mother's tumor was benign, he suggested hiring a caregiver. Victoria yelled into the phone, "My mom had surgery." Do you know, when I signed the consent form, my whole body felt like stone. I looked at her in shock. This was an attitude she'd never shown Terrence. "Do you know?" I stood outside the operating room crying the whole time. The moment she looked up, seeing me not far away, as if realizing something. "Miles, I know I was wrong. I'd waited so long for those 2 words. But the apology I once craved now felt distant and faded. In those stifling moments before, I had a slight illusion that Victoria would wake up and we'd start over. But during the week I took off to care for her mother, I had a wisdom tooth misaligned for 9 years removed. Half an hour later, with pliers, hammer, grinder, I felt reborn. That tooth had grown chaotically in my mouth. I'd endured the pain, endured it crowding out other healthy teeth. Finally, I resolved to pull it out. I'd had enough, whether it was good or bad, whether Victoria realized her mistake or not. I just felt I'd had enough. It no longer mattered. Her mother was discharged after a week. I insisted on letting her stay in the wedding house for a few days. Seeing me bustle about, her mother choked up. "Entrusting Victoria to you, I'm at ease." A trace of sorrow passed through my heart. "Mumm'll stay elsewhere for a few days. The house has a cat, not good for your health." But she smiled. "No big deal. I don't mind. You know, Victoria's father is allergic to cat fur." I make him take medicine. Your little treasure can't be treated unfairly just because I'm here. Victoria beside her opened her mouth then stopped, finally lowered her head saying nothing. When I went back to pack my things, Victoria insisted on following. I didn't bother to care. After packing my clothes, I put Joy in its carrier, headed straight for the door. Victoria stared at me, holding onto her last shred of pride. Don't overdo it, okay? I instinctively wanted to push her hand away. She blocked the door, as if demanding an answer. I pushed harder, but she clung, pulling my shirt, as if enduring great grievance, rushing to punch me like a madwoman. When I grabbed her hands trying to calm her, I suddenly froze. On her ring finger she wore a silver ring. I'd given her plenty of rings, gold, diamond, jade, but never this one. I could never give something like that. I told Victoria the ring finger could only wear my ring. Suddenly I found it laughable. Calmly said, "Move." Victoria realized something, quickly pulled her hand back. Her voice panicked. "Terrence said hospitals have bad energy. Told me to wear a ring to ward it off." I opened my phone, shoved the screen in her face, because I knew this was another of Terrence's tricks. That feeling of making me endure in frustration without daring to speak. Over and over, he relished it endlessly. I didn't bother to care. On social media, Terrence's ring finger wore an identical ring to Victoria's. Victoria fell silent. After a long time she said, "A silver ring means nothing." I didn't want to waste another second. Pushed her aside, calmly left. She and I returned to a state of not bothering each other. During this time I poured myself into worked diligently. My boss unexpectedly promoted me to partner. It coincided with my birthday. Double joy! I publicly offered to book out a restaurant to celebrate. After picking the venue, my phone buzzed. At some point, Victoria had unblocked me. "My mom went home this morning. Thanks for the gift." I thought just doing what I should. Too busy to send it myself. "Please thank your parents for me." A while later, she called, "Your birthday. I bought some of your favorite foods. Bring joy back." "No need, my colleagues are throwing me a birthday party. Can I come along?" she asked cautiously. I replied firmly, "Not convenient. Everyone's not bringing family." Every time she had gatherings, I was like a puppy just wanting to tag along. After a few times, I gradually learned to keep my distance, no longer wanting to cling pointlessly. She was once the center of my world, but now I've learned to let go and find myself again. Victoria frowned and said, "If I don't call you, don't follow me. Girl best friends have private whispers." I retorted, "Then why is Terrence allowed?" Victoria scoffed, "He's my male soulmate. Can you compare?" At this dinner invitation, I discovered something new. After drinking, everyone went wild. Someone in the group patted my shoulder and said, "Miles, you know, we've always said behind your back you're great in every way, just not approachable in daily life." I didn't understand. The girl beside explained, said I went straight home after work every day, never joined parties. Even if work was tough, I'd surely do my best to help, but they still felt I was cold, unapproachable. "Didn't expect you to be so easygoing." I burst out laughing. Before I was afraid Victoria would be lonely waiting at home. Now why be so sentimental? She has her best friend. I can hang out with my brothers too. They dragged me to a public bathhouse. Massage is singing. Victoria called several times. I ended up putting her on Do Not Disturb. I'd once offered to pick her up, worried about her safety at night, but she laughed over the phone, with a crowd of friends escorting her. Why make a fuss? It ended around 11. Victoria said she'd wait for me in the hot spring lobby. My colleague sent her the location. "Not drunk, are you?" Seeing my flushed face, she said, "Here to enjoy the perks, huh?" "I'm fine. Just a bit of red wine. My face gets red even with juice." She drove over, insisted I not take the subway. She said softly, "So this is what waiting for someone feels like." I grinned foolishly, pretending not to hear. At the place I rented, she probed, "Can I come up?" I frowned, as if drunk and acting out. "No need, my place is small, just enough for me and Joy. I'm not staying there." She casually asked if Terrence found a job yet. Let him stay a few days. Victoria looked embarrassed, but this time she didn't get angry. Her eyes seemed to sparkle. You're drunk, I sneered. Liquor brings out the truth. But from then on she started to change. I never expected a guy like me could turn things around. When my lease ended, I had to go back. She suddenly started caring about me. Cooked, waited for me to come home. Even canceled her weekend girls' night. I was a bit flattered but uneasy. I told her she didn't need to do this. I got promoted. My hours weren't fixed. Even weekends I had to work overtime. But she said it was fine. Just text her. She even started researching health soups. When she placed a bowl of pepper chicken soup in front of me, I was surprised to find it tasted as good as a restaurant's. So that time she nearly blew up the kitchen. What was that? Because she was busy gaming with Terrence, her mind elsewhere. Or maybe she never cared about me. I couldn't help but sigh. Victoria had put in effort. But for some reason, my taste buds couldn't sense happiness. Not just my taste. All 5 senses were off. I once longed to be close to her every night, worried about her, fearing loss, carefully pleasing her, looking at her face. Suddenly felt so unfamiliar. Even when she deliberately dressed seductively, I strangely had no physical reaction. Every move she made I suddenly found repulsive. A nausea-inducing repulsion. So when you stop loving, you don't even realize, but your body knows. A tear slid from Victoria's eye. I felt no pity. Instead, I was terrified. In a moment of reluctance, I didn't refuse to let her sleep beside me. I just chose to keep the light on and work. Late at night, Terrence called, rang once and hung up. I suddenly felt relieved, like a burden lifted. Couldn't stay another second. At 4 in the morning, I slept on the sofa. In the room, Victoria sobbed loudly. I immediately got dressed, opened my phone, looked for hotel information. Even without a single room, one spent $500 on a double. The moment I closed the door, I felt an immense relief. The starry sky twinkled, so slamming the door loudly wasn't really wanting to leave. Calmly closing the door was truly not wanting to return. The next few days, Victoria acted like nothing happened, became even more attentive, asked about my work, asked about trivial things. Even topics she once found annoying became like this, like tennis, like models, like the movie reviews I wrote. These responses made me tired of dealing with. I started working overtime, even slept overnight at the law firm for 15 years. Actually, I really wanted to tell Victoria, you don't need to do this. I really want to stay away from you. No one leaves someone over a moment's impulse. The tears of pain, helplessness, enduring time after time, you never saw. Like a dam, cracking at the base from erosion, you only saw the moment I collapsed. The next month, I deliberately avoided time with Victoria. She sought me out many times, blocked me at the office door, her tone often anxious, her attitude sincere, even though I was very distant, even though I tactfully told her, we need to handle this calmly. Even though we both knew the feelings couldn't return, I couldn't go back either. We were done. But she didn't dare face this. From the start, she knew the consequences she might face. Victoria rejected me. The fact she didn't love me never wavered. When free, she waited for me. That day, I invited many colleagues. She brought spicy noodles for me. Looking at the pouring rain outside, your fiancé is waiting downstairs, let her in. She said she didn't dare. My heart skipped a beat. I grabbed an umbrella and rushed out. The rain was heavy. Victoria was drenched like a wilted flower, soaked to the bone. I pulled her into the office. You're crazy, under the stunned gaze of the security. I took a towel to wipe her face. Victoria was delighted. Miles, you still care for me, don't you? I looked at her triumphant eyes. Suddenly stopped. My hand paused. Go home. Victoria froze. Trembling, she said the thing with Terrence was my mistake. There's really nothing between us. Hearing that name, I felt humiliated. Threw the towel at her. I don't want your explanations. If you want to torture yourself, go ahead. She didn't expect me to be so ruthless. Her face darkened. What do you want to forgive me? We're engaged. This is trivial. I looked at her in shock. Trivial? At this point, she still thought it was trivial, still thought I was nitpicking, still felt she was the one compromising. Victoria realized what she said, quickly apologized. I was wrong. I just don't understand, there's nothing between us. Why did it escalate to this irreparable point? Saying this, a trace of confusion crossed her face. Maybe she really didn't understand. She'd clearly humbled herself. Why, I still stubbornly wanted distance. But had she ever thought? I don't have opposite T-sex friends. I don't have buddies inviting me to eat and hang out. I don't have moments of pain and helplessness. I don't want to let loose and be cared for, I do. But when gathering, I only went as a trio. I didn't dine alone with girls. I didn't neglect my duty as a man to my family for parties. Even when my computer broke, I didn't get close to anyone. I had someone in my heart. But what did I get? Only Victoria's repeated blame. Waiting for someone in the rain I'd done it to. Got an infection, inflamed gums. Swollen to where my mouth couldn't close. In the hospital corridor, everyone had someone by their side. I called wanting Victoria to be with me. But she snapped, I told you not to be so clingy. Give each other some space. I told you to get that tooth pulled earlier. You were stubborn, serves you right. I wanted to beg for her softness like charity. But Terrence's voice came, hugging Victoria. Why aren't you moving? You're killing me. I couldn't hold the phone, the screen shattered. I was sick, she only cared about gaming with someone else. Even after the scar healed, I forgot. But that pain stayed forever. That's why I refused to play Honor of Kings. The arrows Victoria shot at me all rebounded back to her. She called me ruthless. I took our 3-year engagement anniversary. The watch Terrence showed only to me. Attached a photo sent to her. What did he mean by posting this? Even though she and he later explained directly, why did Terrence, after getting drunk, post a photo aimed at me? Finally, I asked Victoria in a pitifully small voice. You put so much effort into pleasing me, but did you know I hate drinking soup the most? Let's talk properly once. She was silent for a long time, disappeared into the rain. I resolved to go home, be honest with her, to make a decision good for both of us. I believe Victoria was waiting for me at home, but opening the door, it was empty. No one was there. The next noon, I got a call from Terrence. He said Victoria drank until she vomited blood. Was an emergency at the hospital. I rushed there immediately. She lay on the bed, her breathing weak. A disheveled state I'd never seen. Miles, why are you here? Sorry for worrying you. Victoria's words were rare with humility. You're a beast. Terrence's voice came from behind. He punched me. How could you treat Victoria like this? You know, yesterday she was drenched. Cried, drank 3 bottles of red wine. I stood up, wiped the blood from my mouth, looked at Victoria. She'd rather destroy herself than talk honestly with me once. Why avoid it? Wait until I recover, okay? Her pleading eyes were unsettling. Okay, I stood to leave. Miles, want you stay with me? Victoria's voice was full of resentment. I actually felt I should stay, but the eyes of the man behind, like sharp blades, wanted to kill me. She won't die without you. What's a man like you good for? Terrence chased me out like issuing an eviction. I froze. In their eyes, I was always the extra one. Victoria, even after recovering, didn't come home. She texted me. The doctor said she can't be stressed now. Terrence's punch was heavy, as I used a boiled egg to soothe my face. In a moment, I realized everything had gone cold, like the love between me and Victoria. Was I overreacting? One evening self-study session in my 3rd year of college. The classroom was noisy and lively. I finished a design for Victoria. Couldn't help it, I poked her back. Asked if she wanted to date. She looked at me stunned. I spoke fast as the wind, in a tiny voice. I'm serious about loving you. I still can't forget her expression then. Surprised, shy yet sweet. I also can't forget. After graduation, to go to her city, crossing thousands of mountains and rivers. She leaned on my shoulder sobbing. And that New Year's Eve, right after my grad school exam, I hid from her, secretly went to her place. At the moment fireworks burst, I appeared, holding the cat shed long loved, and solemnly asked her, once my job's stable, let's get married. We went house hunting together. The agent asked what kind of house she liked. She nestled into me saying, "Don't ask me. My man decides." She always treated me so well, as long as Terrence didn't appear. My mom said she wasn't at fault. Years of dating, we rarely fought. Just for talking to some guy, eating a few meals, and you break up. How could you bear it? I just didn't understand. Everything was peaceful, happy, heading toward the future. Just keep going and it'd be fine. But why was she so obsessed with Terrence? That year she looked at me seriously. In the noisy classroom, we stared at each other. She nodded as if possessed. Then I smiled in relief, spinning my pen, tilting my chin, smugly telling her, "Next time don't be shy to ask about homework. Just ask your boyfriend freely." I really wanted to go back to that moment. Victoria also texted saying, she saw the light in my eyes had faded. She was once radiant like light. In a moment, suddenly dimmed, became dust in the universe. I tried to recall her radiant image, but couldn't remember, then realized that was the light in my eyes when I first met her. I choked up asking, "You can't let go of your dream lover." But I don't want to be a beauty mark. I was always very calm, never cried in front of her, nor showed any weakness or lingering attachment. I always thought I controlled my emotions and the breakup process very well, very rationally. But when I smoked all night, I realized how much I cared about Victoria. In the hesitation of a heart abandoning me, from disappointment to arguments, distance, then heartbreak, finally parting. Some roads once walked can't be retraced. Though I still loved her, I knew we could never be together again. Love only has so much. It can't withstand too much wear. It was time for my father's follow-up checkup, but Victoria still refused to meet me. After the checkup, my mom asked, "You and Victoria aren't young anymore. Get married already." I thought for a moment. "Honestly," replied mom, "maybe we're fated but not meant to be." My mom looked pained, sighed. "Mom just wants you to be happy, to be cared for, don't lose yourself." Tears streamed down my face. I took 3 days off, took my parents traveling. At parting, I posted a group photo on social media. Victoria called via voice chat. "Did your parents come? Why didn't you tell me?" I posted photos online. Plus, "Don't you know I'm afraid of your parents pushing for marriage." My parents really liked Victoria. Truly. Dowry, house, car, even having kids, they were very open. They just thought marriage would bring peace of mind. But Victoria said, "Marriage feels like being bound." Back then she wanted to focus on her career. Surely my parents' questions would annoy her, so I stopped mentioning it. I firmly told her, "Wait for me at home. Don't drag this out." As I opened the door, Victoria suddenly pulled out the household registry. "Miles, let's go register our marriage." I froze. She continued, "If thought it through, I can lose everything. Just not you." This move I didn't expect. But after the surprise, I only felt tired. All this time, I was the only one paying. Well, Victoria took it for granted. Gradually, I was too exhausted. Like the moment I learned my father had heart issues. I held the registry to propose to Victoria, but she said I just wanted to fill a void. At that moment, I must have lost all hope, just waiting for the final straw to crush me. "Miles, do you agree?" Victoria asked without confidence. "No!" When I said those 3 words, my heart ached slightly, but no regret. Victoria before me was deeply disappointed, but not pained to the point of losing control. She leaned on the sofa, tried to ask, "Is it because I said nothing when your dad had surgery?" She asked again, "Is it because I gave Terrence a watch?" I stayed silent. Finally, she asked, "Or do you feel I never cared about you, not even knowing you don't like cilantro?" I sighed. "Victoria, you understand all the reasons. I also understand how important Terrence is to you. Loving without receiving. You need time to let it fade. But you can't ignore me every time he appears. You indulge your feelings for him, even tacitly agree. Love is a one-way street. I'm loyal, I sacrifice. I'm always sincere. You shouldn't treat me like a dog. But now I know I was wrong. I really only love you." Victoria cried, looking truly helpless. "No, you don't love me. Before, when I fell off my bike and got scratched. Just a tiny bit of skin. When I thought of you, the pain grew worse. The grievance in my heart swelled. Wanting you to see. Wanting you to comfort me. Even if you scolded me, I'd be happy. But you always coldly pushed me away. You thought men don't need comforting. You sensed my joy, anger, sorrow. But you were afraid Terrence would see. Did you want to prove to him how great you are? Or show him I chased you relentlessly? To move him? Or prepare to twow time? Victoria couldn't say a word. Just shook her head frantically, seeing her speechless. I finally understood. Not loving is never without reason. There's no such thing as suddenly not loving. It's all accumulated disappointment. When it's enough, you can't love anymore. The door was knocked. I looked through the peephole. It was Terrence. I said to Victoria, "Go hide in the room." You say you don't love Terrence. Let's prove if Terrence has feelings for you. Terrence came and looked around, asked, "Where's Victoria?" I smirked, "Not here." She blocked me. I went to her company. She avoided me. Why is it suddenly like this? Terrence was aggressive. Then at her best friend's place, I saw her. But she said she has a fiance. Told me to keep my distance. But didn't you to break up at the hospital? Rarely he showed defeat before me. Victoria was never like this. So proud. But after you hung up on her, she cried uncontrollably. Terrence gave a bitter smile. So she really loved him that much. Suddenly stared at me. Have you accepted her proposal? I met his gaze. The tension and scrutiny clear in his eyes. He came today, clearly afraid Victoria and I would reconcile. Clearly not giving up. You love her too. I couldn't help asking back. Terrence paused for a long time, looked up, gave a vile smile. Yes. I realized too late the one I love most is her. You know why you proposed with the registry and failed? Victoria asked my opinion, but I'd just gotten divorced. How could I miss the chance to ruin it? I burst out laughing, picked up the cat with a prepared mindset, said, "Staying here so long. Aren't you allergic to cat fur? Hope you can love Victoria well. The premise is you can catch up to her." The moment I closed the door, a heart-wrenching sound came from behind. Never let me see you again in this lifetime. I held my phone, changed Victoria's contact note from wife to her full name. If we can't stay together till the end, let's forget each other in the world. From here we part ways, each with our own joys. But I thought to simply, gather well, part well was just my wish. I forgot Victoria was stubborn. Back then she couldn't forget Terrence. Now it's the same with me. In her eyes, being abandoned by someone like me was a great shame. Though I proved Terrence had intentions, she still kept texting me. Annoyed by her harassment, I turned off my phone, planned to find time to reclaim the wedding house. But seeing Victoria's attitude, clearly she wanted to struggle to the end, I decided to stay in a hotel temporarily. After showering, opened my laptop to prepare to plans. If Victoria kept dragging it out, I'd sell the house. But just as I turned on my phone, Victoria's call came blaring. "Miles, I'm asking you one last time. Is there really no chance to salvage us?" I replied without hesitation, "Yes, that's right. Good, you'll regret it." At first I didn't understand what that meant. I thought I hadn't wronged her. Regret what? But 3 days later, I returned to discuss the house. I talked all afternoon, but Victoria only acted indifferent, playing with her phone, not even looking up. I shook my head helplessly, thinking of the clothes I left behind. I went to the bedroom to deal with them, but the moment I pushed open the door, I was almost speechless with shock. The bed was a mess. Fine. The issue was the trash can had a used pair of underwear with visible stains. I took a deep breath and smelled. The bed carried an indescribable heather scent, lingering in the air, not yet dissipated. Clearly the scent of a passionate night left behind. In that moment my heart seemed to stop. Before it was just disappointment, thinking Victoria was a stone I couldn't warm, but never expected she'd make me disgusted. A good woman. How did she become like this? Choosing to throw herself into a cesspool, thinking of last night. She called me over 10 times. I didn't answer once. Was that why? She chose this way to get back at me. Truly unbelievable. I recalled entering the house, The first glance Victoria gave me carried a hint of gloating. So that's how it was. I steadied my emotions. Instead, I wasn't anxious anymore. Facing this self-inflicted woman, I asked again when she planned to move out of the wedding house. But she acted like the owner C. Miles, feeling bad all the way to Hong Kong. I'm leaving. Terrence is much better in bed than you. Her tone carried an unprecedented malice, making my whole body feel cold like falling into an abyss. But I didn't want her to see any emotional ripple. Gritting my teeth, I said coldly, keep some dignity for yourself. I know some people nowadays, especially girls, when relationships go wrong, they demand life or death, then use falling as an excuse, blaming the man who left them. This mindset is hard to understand, but many girls insist on it. No matter what, someone who uses falling as an excuse is even less forgivable. If you love yourself, others will love you. Back when Victoria and I were first intimate, she loved me so much, prepared everything carefully, like completing a sacred ritual. Seeing her shy in my arms, the first time she called me husband, that feeling of happiness, the responsibility and possession surging, like passing the imperial exam, the same feeling, pushed me to always do everything carefully, fearing any mistake would hurt her. I'm not conservative, but in this matter, I always respected Victoria as the premise. Never expected she'd degrade herself repeatedly falling. She brought it on herself, foolish beyond salvation. I suddenly spoke, congratulations. You got what you wanted. Seeing Victoria become arrogant again, as if the past months, her remorse was just a joke. The door locked, clicked. Terrence walked in with luggage. Seeing me there, his expression instantly smug, his gaze arrogant like declaring his ownership. I only felt a bad premonition rising in my heart. Seeing Terrence, Victoria froze, gave a flirtatious smile. My ex-husband hasn't left yet. Want to stay for dinner? Saying this, he hugged and kissed Victoria. The two words ex-husband he emphasized deliberately. A moment later, Victoria said, is he worthy? I quietly looked at them. This is like occupying my house. At this point, Terrence spun the keys. Honey, when are we changing the locks? Don't want to see annoying people. My gaze swept over, realizing he already had the house keys. My rationality collapsed bit by bit. Victoria slightly raised her brow, laughed wildly. Got it. I'll call a locksmith later. What's there to be jealous about? The two talked in the living room, full of affection. Every word, every glance filled with loving intent. I suddenly woke up. So I was the clown. Maybe before I thought Victoria had come to her senses. Just fooling myself. In reality, now was her true face after shedding the mask. Just provocatively telling me my days of unbearable pain were just an accident in their reunion game. In that moment, I clearly felt my panic. Didn't want to waste another second on this man and woman. I gritted my teeth, spoke up. This house, I think, was prepared by my parents for the wedding. Victoria gave a slight smile. So what if it's yours? You think I'm your bed warmer. This house is at least half mine. Without 500,000, don't think you can kick me out easily. The atmosphere turned dead silent. My teeth ground audibly. This woman was shameless enough to erase every bit of beautiful memory, making it vanish completely. Ex-husband, don't be too harsh. Terrence crossed his arms, stepping in front of me. He ignorantly patted my shoulder. If I were you, I'd transfer the house to Victoria. How about this? Name your price. At most, well, take a small loss. Give you some money to buy back this house. You know anyway. Yesterday, Victoria and I cleared all misunderstandings in bed. Saying this, he glanced at Victoria, smirked. After all, her first man was me. It's normal she'd always remember me, being her substitute for 3 years. Really sorry about that. I couldn't hold back, through a punch. This fight had to happen. I could ignore how Victoria treated me, could endure loving the wrong person, but I couldn't accept being toyed with, then humiliated by Terrence. A scholar can be killed, not insulted. Before I let go of my pride, let go of my personality, let go of my stubbornness. Just because I couldn't let go of one person. Now I understood the person I loved with all my heart could never walk with me to the end. Some things were wrong from the start. This fight was fierce, more accurately brutal. Terrence got a few teeth knocked out by me. I wasn't much better. Broke a rib. In the end, both families ended up at the police station. Not sure how they negotiated. My parents paid $200,000 as compensation to Victoria. To settle it, I found it so fake. My and Victoria's social circles buzzed. All kinds of opinions. Some said Victoria was shameless. Others said I obstructed her to cunning. Amid all the gossip, I lay in the hospital bed, deleting Dramalov contacts, while slowly thinking, why Victoria had to push it to this irreconcilable point? Was it unwillingness, guilt, or retaliation? Before she anxiously tried to hold on to me, I couldn't guess, but maybe only by destroying each other like this. Did she feel there was no way back, and no regrets? What's your next step? The hospital room door opened. Unexpectedly, it was Melody. First, find a suitable place to live, I said with difficulty. As for Victoria, give them a month to prepare and handle the paperwork. How about this? I have an empty house. Anyway, you know my work keeps me insanely busy. I looked at the girl before me. Didn't expect she'd help me now. Melody graduated from medical school. Speaking of which, I met her when she was Victoria's best friend. She never took sides with either of us. Just knowing I don't eat cilantro was telling enough. Whenever Terrence caused trouble, she was always the first to scold him and tell Victoria this ambiguity was a danger. I wanted to thank her several times, but because of opposite genders, I chose silence. Now in this pathetic state, I was no longer shy. Opened my mouth. You don't think I'm overreacting? No, I think you're right. Melody was serious. She was always like that, saying what she thought. Forgot to tell you, if cut ties with Victoria. I forced a smile. It hurt. I accepted Melody's offer. Moved into her house. Didn't expect the house across was hers too, though the fight made me rest for 2 months. My heart was dead, no regrets. My whole being felt reborn. But after the steel pins were set, the side effects of anesthesia started showing. After taking anti-inflammatory drugs, my whole body felt groggy, my forehead cool. Someone seemed to be caring for me. At first I thought it was my mom, the one insisting on staying to care for me. Woke up again, smelled pork hoof soup from the kitchen. My body felt better than before. I listened to the birds outside the window, picked up my phone, dozens of messages and missed calls. From colleagues, from buddies, of course, drama lovers too. Someone sent me a screenshot of Victoria's social media. She was applying medicine for Terrence. Wrote, "You're my supreme treasure." No wonder a few days ago, when I invited her to a classic movie, she refused without thinking. So it wasn't that she didn't want to. I wasn't worthy. I posted on social media. Anyone who sends me news about this person again, don't blame me for cutting ties. Pushed back the blanket, tittied myself. Saw Melody in the kitchen looking at me. Seeing me awake, she said, "Mom made this. She went to buy groceries. Said to tell you to drink it hot when you wait." She handed over a bowl. I reached to take it, but winced in pain. "Too hasty. Let me feed you." She used the gentlest movements. Helped me sit in a chair. Propped a pillow for my comfort. Don't misunderstand, we studied this in med school. I watched her pour soup into a bowl. Let it cool a bit. Tested it with her lips. When the temperature was right, scooped spoonfuls to feed me. The first time with a girl. My heart warmed. Bittersweet. Victoria never did this for me. When done, as she wiped my mouth, our eyes suddenly met. Both of us froze. My heart beat hard once. "Miles, you're running a fever again." Luckily, my mom walked in, breaking the moment. "Is my son better?" Melody quickly stood awkwardly, ran out. My heart felt warm. Could it be? A person's life really meets two people. One makes time dazzling. One makes years gentle. My mom cleaned up, but was troubled about caring for Joy. Not complaining. Because of Joy? This silly cat used to jump into my lap to be spoiled. Didn't expect seeing Melody. It obediently lay by her feet, rolling over. Melody adored it, couldn't part. Said, "Come on, it'll take you for a bath." My mom helped me lie down. "You've worked hard all these years." I froze, said nothing. "Miles, The first limited edition shoes you gave Victoria, she was just so-so about them. But when she gave you a toy from a ring toss game, you were over the moon. Back then I saw you lower yourself too much. My heart ached. Mom, don't say more. I just want you to cherish the person in front of you. How could I not understand Mom's meaning? But Miles could never take full responsibility. Love gained by schemes. I'd rather not have. I could love humbly, could compromise for her, but I wouldn't do things that made me lose myself. Fighting, snatching, love gained by schemes. I'd rather not have. I lay back down, prepared to erase everything related to Victoria. But on Weibo saw she posted again. Went to see the re-release of A Chinese Odyssey. A photo of hands holding. Wrote the first time I saw this movie was in the small school cafeteria. Now for the re-release, the person beside me is still him. I looked at the ticket I booked at the theater. On the app, suddenly recalled a line I wrote. To love or not, does it need a reason? To take the sutra or not, can you choose? Romantic, playful like Zixia. Every frown, every smile full of love. The one standing on auspicious clouds. If your heart has a moment like mine, it must be what I left in your heart. When I woke, my face was full of tears. Deeply pained for myself, as if possessed. I typed countless words, then thought deleted them all. Finally just gave a bitter smile, sent a question mark. But when the comment failed notice popped up, I was stunned. To provoke me, she really spared no means. This heart-killing method wasn't learned from Diaz and Wang Xiaofei. This matter. Melody came back with Joy, set it down, prepared to leave. My mom quickly stopped her. Melody, stay for dinner. Melody smiled, I'm still busy. My mom turned to me, Miles, keep Melody here. Aren't you two friends? My mom glared like she was about to explode, implying why I was so slow. I looked at Melody. The doctor said to listen to Mom. She burst out laughing. All right, let me clean Joy's paws first. Melody wiped carefully. I had a cat just like it before, but it got lost. Does it have any special marks? I was slightly suspicious. Melody replied, there's a mark on its paw, a black and white star. I even joked with the shop owner, hoping it'd help me find my destiny. Saying this, she suddenly looked at me. As if our hearts connected, she lifted Joy's front paw. A heart-shaped mark was clear. I looked at her incredulous eyes, said I adopted Joy. She crouched, hugged Joy tightly, looked at me, didn't say thanks. Looks like it's really fate. My mom beside us smiled happily. The next few days my broken bone healed well. Melody, though busy, always made time for me. She also brought news about Victoria. A bit of info. Victoria is seen to be pregnant. Terrence joined her company, acting like the boss, making enemies left and right. Back in college, he wasn't anything outstanding, liked only for some small talents, temper, looks, and shady tactics. I was actually hung up on my parents paying $200,000. Kept feeling uneasy. Why, when I did nothing wrong? Because of their shamelessness. Did my parents have to pay their hard-earned money for my future? The world is so unfair. Thinking it over, I resolved. Terrence came back after a divorce looking pathetic. If he had no issues with that shameless behavior, he couldn't have returned empty-handed. Seems his divorce wasn't simple. So while training for recovery, I had someone investigate Terrence's divorce records. Melody often came to cook with my mom. Didn't expect a cool girl like her could cook so well. Especially golden stewed chicken, a masterpiece. My mom hinted I should get closer to Melody, but I only felt dejected. Even thought I wasn't worthy of such a good girl. Always answered vaguely. And through Victoria, I became certain of one thing. Liking can be one-sided, but love needs both to try. If I pursued now, it'd be too fast. So a month later, I took Joy home. Victoria was ridiculous. Even smashed the TV we bought. But I had no emotions left. Strangely, Joy was like me. The moment it saw Victoria, no reaction. People can suppress emotions, but cats shouldn't be like that. Victoria noticed this too. Looked at Joy in surprise. Small animals can't speak, but sometimes they understand better than people. Victoria softly asked, are you very disappointed in me? I didn't know what game she was playing. I shook my head before. I didn't want to see you. Now anything with your scent. I don't want. If listed the house for sale. Don't say unnecessary words. When I said this, I realized I had no hesitation or lowliness. Victoria didn't storm off in anger. Instead looked at me as if wanting to say something but stopped. Just chose to leave silently. I felt she was full of thoughts, but I didn't want to be entangled with her anymore. Though I knew, because of Terrence, she and her parents had fallen out irreparably. Her close friends mostly cut contact. Even her company started having operational issues, like when the door closed. That click signaled between her and me a cycle of her advancing, me retreating. Had become numb. When the heart numbs to pieces, everything becomes calm, ripple-free. The night she left, I forgot about fate. Melody came over, looked around the house. This time, when she brought a bowl of rib corn chicken claw soup, she said, "Miles, go to the hospital with me tomorrow. The hospital needs a lawyer for legal advice." I didn't think, agreed immediately. Didn't expect to meet Victoria and Terrence there. Victoria saw me, her eyes flashed with surprise. Said nothing. Terrence smugly asked the doctor, "Last week you said monthly checkups and scans. Is my wife pregnant? Is the baby healthy?" Looking at Victoria, then at me, deliberately asked, "Oh, isn't this an old acquaintance?" If it were before, I'd have lost my cool. Even if I didn't hit him, I'd run off. But that heart at some point had been mended. Even under Melody's gentle care, gained a protective layer not easily stirred by words. I smiled calmly. "Yes, very familiar. Congrats on your quick baby. After all, I raised your woman for 3 years, returning her to you intact." Terrence, relying on his shamelessness before, repeatedly played good cop, bad cop with Victoria, making me restless, frustrated to the extreme. But now I'd built a thick skin like a city wall. I once thought the opposite of love was hate, then saw it was not loving. Now it's forgetting. When I forgot those old details, Victoria's attacks no longer hurt me. Otherwise, how could I be worthy of my lawyer title? Her eyes flashed red, then returned to normal. "Well, naturally send an invitation. If you weren't useless, Victoria and I wouldn't be here today." I mocked, right? Like a used pair of shoes. Even if dirty, wash them clean. Can still be called limited edition. Just don't let them tear. Torn limited edition shoes once ruined can only be thrown away. Terrence, provoked by me, finally dropped the act. Slammed the table. "Whore, you calling torn shoes?" I sneered at him. Because yesterday I got the investigation report. Terrence's divorce wasn't, as he said, a broken relationship, but definitely him being unfaithful abroad. Gambling, cheating, even tied to drugs. The other side had filed legal action. He practically fled back home. Victoria beside him finally spoke, "Enough. Stop talking nonsense. Other patients are waiting." Terrence glared, annoyed, continued his fake smile. But when Melody read the report, she sternly looked at Victoria. "This baby of yours can't be kept." Like thunder in clear skies, Terrence slammed the table. "What nonsense." Melody wasn't scared. "Mr. Terrence, what are you hiding? Does Victoria not know?" She handed the report to Terrence. I glanced. My God. Terrence's face went through every color, ignoring Victoria standing there. "Melody, you're talking nonsense." I checked thoroughly. Sweating coldly, he quickly explained to Victoria. "Victoria, I got infected abroad carelessly. Trust me. Just a trip where I didn't sanitize properly." Melody watched quietly, sneered, "You're 27, saying careless, fooling ghosts." Victoria pointed at Terrence, speechless for half a day, finally threw the medical file and bag to the ground. I watched stunned. Originally thought I'd just let go of everything, never see this couple again, that'd be enough. Suddenly a twist, words became wounds. So Victoria really became torn shoes. Shocked to the core, then a hint of glee in my heart. Seeing Victoria collapse miserably, I felt some sympathy, though I no longer loved her. I knew Victoria was an extremely proud woman. This humiliation, how could she bear it? Sure enough, her eyes blazed. Her body trembled, unable to speak. While Terrence still tried to explain, I really didn't know. That woman cheated and infected me. I just came back. I didn't know she was sick. It must be her. Terrence started babbling, clearly at a loss. Turned to grab Victoria's hand. Victoria, trust me, well, abort this baby. Start over. I really couldn't take it. Spoke to expose him. Mr. Terrence, your divorce case, I can pull the file. Need me to print it for everyone to see. Then you'll be completely done. Victoria immediately shook off his hand. Get lost. You lied to me from the start, didn't you? Tricked me into drinking, sleeping with me. Threatened me with family and career. Otherwise, how could I, Victoria, fall to being laughed at by the world today? Saying this, Victoria was furious beyond control. Grabbed his scalpel in front of Melody, lunged. I quickly hugged her tightly, ignoring the pain of my barely healed wound. Yelled at Terrence, why aren't you running? Want a murder case? Terrence still hesitated. Victoria's rage was nearly uncontrollable, struggling fiercely. She threw me off. The pain made me curse her. Luckily, the only calm person there. Melody stabilized the situation. She slapped Victoria, glared, you have no principles. Breaking up and degrading yourself like this, blaming others. I don't care how wronged you feel. Miles just had surgery. You acting crazy like this. Reopening his unhealed wound. It'll kill you right now. Victoria collapsed to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. After Melody pulled her into a restroom, Victoria calmed down, said, Miles, this time I was truly wrong. I sighed. Suddenly felt this woman was so foreign to me. Her apology sincere, very earnest, because I saw despair in her eyes. I paused, felt nothing anymore. Since I realized I loved Victoria deeply, seeing her wavering, I chose to decisively leave, no longer caring about consequences. What Victoria did after left no dignity for either of us. Now, I really didn't need those 3 words. Even if Victoria owed me, I asked lightly, why say that? Victoria didn't expect my coldness, muttered to herself, after being with Terrence. At first I thought it was to get back at you. Do whatever. Play games, watch TV, drink milk, to eat barbecue, my tastes unchanged. Sometimes ate even more. Didn't drown my sorrows in alcohol for you. Wore clothes as usual. Never missed you to distraction. Eat, play, sleep, work. I laugh, sounds like you're living well. In poetic terms, it's gazing at clouds with a smile. Drunk on blooming plums. Her eyes reddened. No. That day was a weekend. Terrence and I went shopping for supplies, carrying 3 bags. I suddenly realized, the one who always carried my bags, never letting me suffer a bit. That clumsy, silly boy, who hugged me no matter the situation, was gone. Though I tried to act natural, my body's memory lingered. She suddenly grabbed my hand. Can you forgive me? The warmth from her palm was familiar. The familiar Victoria. This moment I'd waited for so long, but now I didn't want it. Pulled my hand back. Useless, she held tight, unwilling to let go. Melody walked in, saw this, said, you two made up. Saying this, she seemed awkward. After all, the thin veil between us wasn't broken. Turned to leave. I took the chance to pull my hand free. Seeing Victoria still clinging, I shouted, Victoria, just now I was just being a friend. If you stabbed someone, it'd be a murder. Don't misunderstand that I still have feelings for you. Terrence ruined half your life, but I won't let you drag me down for life. Victoria quickly argued, but now I only have you. I shook my head. What's the hardest thing in life? Picking stars with bare hands. Loving without receiving. The world has millions. Hard to meet me again. Before I didn't understand this. Now I do. Before I couldn't have you. Later you won't find me, it's all fate. I saw the light in Victoria's eyes fade. Gradually she calmed. Finally, only sorrow remained. I continued, I know you to watch a Chinese Odyssey. Right, once romantic. Twice laughing, thrice crying. I don't know Terrence's character. But do you think him like Zixia? Zixia knew supreme treasure was her destined one. But when she learned he sought the moonlight box for white crystal, she chose to let go. You still have Terrence in your heart. You could attack me for him. Actually, in that moment, I let go of Victoria too. From start to end, I never looked back. Victoria's eyes were full of despair. I stood said finally tell Terrence for me. He said a broken mirror can mend, but I want to tell him now. A mended mirror can only be civil, not the same. Between that line is the next time it shatters worse. When I walked out, I didn't look back. Everything finally ended. Back at Melody's place, her face was expressionless, seemed angry. After she finished work, looked up, asked, "You still like Victoria a lot, huh?" I said no. She snorted. "Then why did you risk stopping her? Weren't you afraid of getting stabbed?" I suddenly felt Melody was jealous. Sure enough, before I answered, she fired off rapidly. "Why stay with her? Why let her hug you? Just because she was deceived? You forgot how she betrayed you." I didn't know how to respond. Just saw Melody, usually so calm, now so irrational, yet found her unexpectedly adorable. Teased deliberately, "Well, am still single." Didn't expect this to make Melody so angry. She stood, face flushed. "Yelled you I." She sat back down, annoyed. "Fine. Miles, you're such an idiot." Then walked out. Passing me said, "I won't come to your place tomorrow. We both need to calm down." Back home I didn't eat or drink. Sat on the bed looking at tulips on the balcony. I suddenly recalled, Victoria and Melody had different attitudes toward flowers. Victoria would buy a ready-made bouquet. Melody would carefully pick one plant. When it wilts, throw it out. Nurture it carefully, that's all. I suddenly understood the difference between liking and loving. If you like a flower, you pick it. If you love the flower, you water it. In this moment, I was sure Melody loved me, but I didn't dare speak. I didn't know how to confess to Melody tomorrow. Couldn't figure it out. I called my mom. She answered, said bluntly, "She wants see you." Does that mean she wants see patience? Useless boy. Chasing a girl needs a thick skin. Right, so smart. I quickly flipped through medical records. Unexpectedly found a big secret. While Melody cared for me, I almost deciphered her messy handwriting. On the record were 3 days she stayed with me in the hospital. She wrote 3 passages. First day, the first time I saw you, you were fireworks. I was ashes needing a lifetime to sweep. The new house needs a lifetime to clear the dust. Second day, not 3 parts water, 7 parts city, but the world has only 3 parts moonlight. Third day, the day I wanted to confess. You gave flowers to someone else. Am not sad. Just want to quietly watch you be happy. My heart seemed to stop. Then sweetness surged. She was loyal, steady, gentle, quietly kind to me. Her actions slightly ambiguous, but not excessive. Everything had a reasonable reason. So, I understood why I had to go tomorrow. A longing, a care, an unstoppable worrying made my body move toward that person. Carefully dressed, I wore a flashy pink suit. Deliberately timed it, booked another appointment. When it was my turn, she didn't look up. I didn't say anything either. Waited till she couldn't hold back and looked up. Only then saw me dressed like a peacock. Melody was furious. "What are you wearing?" So what? I glared. "I just want to see if I'm still worth something." I took off the jacket, the shirt inside even flashier. A sheer shirt. She grabbed a blanket to cover me. I pushed it away. Pointed at the record. "What do these mean?" She denied, "Just medication." I smirked. "Medication? Then come with me to the pharmacy now." Melody was flustered. "I'll talk after work, okay?" I didn't give her a chance to breathe. Waited for her to finish. "Didn't you say you wouldn't come? Planning to kick me out today? Then no need to talk." Melody, "I'm seeing patients." "Aren't I your patient?" I crossed my legs. Chewed gum like a thug. "Speak. What do they mean?" Melody probably never saw me so bold. Turned into an obedient girl. "Do I have to say it? Didn't I write it all?" I said I couldn't read it aloud. I nodded. This little girl really read it. But halfway I blushed. Didn't expect the good girl would read so loudly. I quickly interrupted. "When did you start liking me?" "From the first glance. Back then you even said, 'I'm the guy who only likes big-chested, empty-headed girls.'" She laughed. "You're the empty-headed one. Big chest is me. My slowness made you and Victoria cross paths." "Sorry. Almost missed you." I touched her nose. "My mom said don't miss 2 things in life. The last ride home and the one who loves you deeply." The right is you, the person is you. Right? Melody nodded right. I locked the office door. She yelped I didn't care. Couldn't hold back, kissed her. Later Victoria's company had issues. She sold it and went abroad to travel. Terrence was personally sent to prison by her. The charges were heavy. 10 years in jail. Melody and I met both families. Registered our marriage. That day, I received a courier package and a bank card. Inside was a ring. The inner side engraved with 2 initials combined. The card had 200,000. I paused briefly, smiled, handed the card to Melody, turned and threw the ring into the moat. The end.